I'm Michelle Gilbert. I am a Teams Technical Specialist at Microsoft. I'm from the North Central region, so I'm based out of Edina, Minnesota. I'm also president of our Minnesota M365 user group, which we have a monthly meeting the second Monday of every month. Pretty topical, and if you want to join, right now we're doing things virtual, so I'm pretty excited for that. And I'm a former MVP. So I was in the Office Apps and Services space as an MVP, and really my background has been SharePoint for at least 15 years, and as a farm admin, a site owner, a site admin, to an Office 365 global admin, and then to an architect as well. And now I'm all things kind of modern workplace over at Microsoft. So what's new? There are so many things to talk about, and I'm going to try to cover them in groups of what I call communication, collaboration, the customization and extension of what you can do inside of Teams, and really and also the last portion of what's new in the security and admin space. So this is the portion of communication inside of Teams. It's going to be your chat, meetings, and calling. This is your collaboration portion, right, through files and through the ability to co-author in your Office Pro Plus documents that are stored inside of SharePoint OneDrive. And then in the store, in the Teams store, where you can really customize your experience with Teams through your business line integrations and the other applications that you want to add to it. And then feeling confident, working with confidence. So just letting you know all those different portions, there's new things that are happening in that space. I've been scouring the internet to find everything I can to share with you today. Here is a great blog post that was probably about a few weeks ago that covered the 3 years of Microsoft Teams. So we recently had a birthday and really talking through when Teams was launched 3 years ago, March 2017. It was just in its infancy. And it was starting to become a product that you could use to do some collaboration. And little did we know how much it would skyrocket as it has today. And now thinking just back in November, how are we going to handle the 20 million daily active users that we had to in March reaching 44 million daily active users. And I think I've even seen days that it's doubled that amount lately. So just due to that influx, there's been a lot of demand for new features. I'm not going to go through every single new thing, but I do have a good deck that you will get at the end of this that does cover what we've delivered in 2018 and in 2019, and then I'll talk about 2020. So here is all the things since it started in March 2017, what was delivered in 2018, what people really needed. The simple things that we didn't really realize until we started tuning into what user voice and people were requesting, and how can we make that easier for everyone, right? Creating team templates, being able to give people access to a free version of Teams. What is Planner? What's the integration going to look like? How can we customize and extend it with adaptive cards? So look at all those capabilities in 2018. I'm not even sure if this is an exhaustive list, to be honest, but definitely a lot was covered in that year. Then Microsoft Teams really evolved throughout 2018. The whole Ignite 2018, and from there just took off to include, hey, we need more than meetings, we need live events. We also need channel announcements. We need to prioritize notifications and really curate that to how we want to use it. We need live captioning. I saw earlier we have accessibility requirements. We also need Teams rooms. We need to figure out how to replace kind of our Skype's rooms with Teams. And then information barriers. We require different groups of people who are in a tenant and using Teams to not communicate. How do we separate that? And also channel moderation. So think of all the capabilities and all the requests that people in different businesses have. We certainly, I think, rolled it out with a good 75% and has been adding on top of that forever. I took this slide And I actually separated it all out as much as I could because I was like, what are all those cool things? And it's like, oh, yeah. Okay, that's when we rolled out the single toolbar and the chat filters to say when I'm at mentioned and the content camera and intelligent capture. So just think of the culmination in 1 year of all the changes that are occurring. That's what we delivered last year. Now, since then, and here's another kind of look at that, in separating them by chat and collaboration, all the different pieces here that really made up what we were already doing in Skype that we wanted to have a comparison, but then add on to that, right? Add on to the ability to get information quickly. Then the portion of meetings and call-ins, the capabilities there have just grown astronomically. And apps and workflow. So not just something to spin up like Polly and have kind of that chatbot capability or survey or polling or whatever you wanted to use. How about connecting to ServiceNow or Kronos, right? How do I tie an application that I use on a daily basis instead of going out to it? Let me integrate with it and let me look up things inside of it. And then the admin and security portion, I know the maturity of that has been pretty incredible. Before really the Teams administration portion was in the M365 Admin Center and through Skype PowerShell. And now there's Teams PowerShell. And now there's a new Admin Center that's really robust. Each user right now has 12 policies assigned to them and what you can do in that configuration to curate their experience. So I'm going to talk about all those new things that are happening. So let's first start and kick it off with communication. The things that we really have seen, there is now, instead of just let's have a meeting, there's 4 types of meetings. And in that space, we've got scheduled meetings that we're pretty used to. Then we've got the ad hoc, which was in Skype as well, which is, hey, let's meet now capability. Now we want to have channel meetings. And those are things like a recurring event that occurs that you can just have within that channel. You can also have it recorded. And if you missed it, you can come back to that same channel and watch it, and it'll render itself right inside of that team. And then the last portion there about live events, which was rolled out, and this is the ability to have town halls, scaling up to 10,000 in a meeting, where you can have a question and answer portion. You can have a presenter and producer now. So there's so much more robustness when you think of Microsoft Teams meetings. So within that, really, this is what's been shipped since January. And then I've curated what's shipped in the last quarter, along with shipping soon. So if you do not know these features, and I'm going to go through it with each of these sections, come back, take a look at these features. A lot of them correlate to what is on the roadmap today. And I'm sure the most important is, what's the shipping soon? What's the things that I really want that other products out there may have, or that really my business requires? So I've pulled out a few of these from each section, and I'm just going to show you kind of a screenshot of what that looks like. So the general availability for meetings features are background blur, which everyone should have on this call today. That's the ability to have AI that detects behind you what's happening and blur that out. Then you've got Microsoft Whiteboard, where when we're in a meeting, we can co-author and work together on a project through illustration. Then meeting chat files, notes, etc., and live captions. So in the ellipsis of your meeting, you can enable live captions. And then what's coming soon. So the coming soon portion, I think, is what we all care about. We're excited for custom backgrounds. So you can add a background right now. It's going to be coming. I think it's rolling out. Should be, I'd say, I think I got it on the next slide, but it should be by the end of this month, the majority of tenants will have the ability to add a custom background. And this could be as fun as, being in a classroom, having the Golden Gate Bridge behind me, having some balloons. I know some people I work with, they live in Minecraft in their background. So some super fun things, but then also the ability to add and soon upload your own custom branded background. Then we've got multi-window. That's the ability to pop out for chat. Some of you may already be seeing raise hand, and that's where you can raise your hand. Video layout, we'll talk about 3x3 and noise suppression. So to highlight a few of those, we really have thought about what matters, when we talk about just blurring a background. Well, how about adding more value to that, right? More personality. So Microsoft Teams custom background really allows you to replace your background in a Teams meeting. You can have a nice fresh home office. I use that a lot, but you can also have any other, fun backgrounds that you can add in here. It should now be generally available in Teams. And this feature builds upon what I referred to earlier as background blur. This uses the AI to blur your environment behind you. I think we may have all seen the video where the kid was running behind his dad, who was a reporter, and he was making noises and waving. So if you want that, that's still still available. You don't have to have a blur. However, if you do want to have a custom background, you can too. And let you know, the ability to upload your own custom images will be coming soon. All right, raise hand in a meeting. This is really about inclusiveness and making calls more inclusive to be able to allow people to directly raise your hand and feeling like, hey, I have a question here. Because you don't always have to have the chat open. A lot of us are having meetings today where we're just constantly seeing each other and talking, but having that capability was a request and is now being rolled out globally by the end of April 2020. So we've got about 10 more days. That's when they said it should be all rolled out. All right, and that's going to be located, just in case you can't see on the screen there, is that there's a hand on the toolbar or the meeting bar that you can just click on. And then to take it away, you click on it again. That took me a second. I'm like, wait, how do I remove it? Oh, okay, click again. All right, I know everybody's super excited about this too. This is a 3x3. This is the capability. Right now we're at 2x2. So that means there's 4 images. Now we're going to be having 9 images. So announcing number of participants will be increasing that you can visually see to 9. This will be rolling out to customers again, much like raise your hand feature, the end of this month. So I also want to let you know there may be more increases in the coming months. All right, so Microsoft's team calling space. There is a lot happening here too. Calling is really for everyone. So every team can be able to, team member can create a VoIP peer-to-peer group call right from your call app via the command bar or contact card. Calling really is just straight up at your fingertips. The capability to have easy access while you're on your phone to make an internal call with your coworkers or external calling from your clients. So all the different capabilities, not just desktop, but also browser-based or any device that you're on for your Android or iOS, or I don't know if there's any other types of phones, but those are the capabilities today. And then dial tone ready. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think I don't need to cover it too much since the last session really went pretty deep into calling plans and audio conferencing. So here's the new innovation in Teams calling today, what's been shipped since January. So the call parking, phone systems, really exciting for GCC has been rolled out. Shipped even in the last quarter, the music on hold, so being able to choose what music that you want to have on hold, and then a secondary ringer. The future, and that's going to be coming if it hasn't already rolled out, auto attendant updates, call queue updates, the dynamic emergency calling. I think that was also announced in the last session. So really 2019 was a great year for Microsoft Teams callings. Just to show you some highlights here. Just the leader and the leadership of what Teams calling has done and showing that, we have made a lot of progress in Gartner and in Forrester to really be the top of the line. Creating the capability for direct routing in over 80 countries, no hardware needed, as phone system is all software, easy to add teams, no cost, direct routing, and again, having the dynamic emergency calling, enabling emergency responders with location data to provide you help. So a couple more topics here related to calling, not to drain what is already said, but just letting you know, There are plans out there, choosing the right plans for you and what makes sense to have just a seamless, simplified provisioning process. And then having the direct routing, the flexibility for dial tone, available in the phone system today, and easy to customize. And there is some Microsoft certified partners out there who really can provide you some great session border controllers. And then direct routing and calling plans. Really global coverage, no problem. I mean, that's the whole point here is, really making Teams available wherever you are and to whomever you need to contact. All right, let's talk about the collaboration portion. This is certainly, to me, one of my favorites. I came from the collaboration space. So not only just within files, but what can we do inside of Teams and inside of channels? So some of those feature recaps, general availability. I think we can all scream and put a little shout out, yay, private channels are here. Now it's a question of how do we govern them? What can we learn about their architecture and their private channel lifecycle? Then we've got cross-channel posting. So that's the ability for me to create a post and say, I want to go ahead and post that to the next channel over or to several at a time. General availability is also for announcements. So in your text WYSIWYG editor for your channel post, you can go ahead and click on the first icon that opens it up where you can say, I want to make this an announcement. So it gives you an announcement section at the top. Then you've got priority notifications. One important note there is that there is a new notification called urgency. And the urgency is the capability to contact somebody it's going to contact them every 2 minutes for 20 minutes until they respond. This was really brought on by really the need in healthcare for nurses to contact doctors quickly. And so if you set your notification of your message to urgent, that's the capability that's going to happen is that continued notifying. Then we've got read receipts. I think we can start to see those now where you see a little eye. That means the person saw it. So it's kind of a nice feeling that, okay, they already read that, they got that message, and it's not just sitting there. I love this one, pin apps and channels. I'm constantly doing that now on the left rail or within channels. I'll take a channel and I'll pin it so it goes to the top so I don't have to look for that because I get added to a lot of different teams. Half the time I'm not sure why or what it is, but I know that, oh, I work on that channel, so I'm going to pin that. It makes a really easy way for me to find what I'm looking for because I have kind of my own curated view. Now coming soon, I know this one's been a pretty popular one with my customers is the ability to tag in Teams. I think I've got a screenshot of that, so I'll show you. Another one of my favorite, which is called multi-window chat. I absolutely think this was a hands down most popular request because I work on several screens. And so if I'm having a chat, I want it to do just what it did with Skype. I want to pull it out and put it somewhere. And I want that to be where I do that communication because just because we have chat or we have that capability doesn't mean that that conversation goes away. I don't want to go back in Teams to try to find it. I want to pull it out and I may chat with that person for over an hour. So just having that interaction and that capability has been really valuable. Message extensions, we can get into that too. These next two are really about integration. This goes back to what Office 365 is really all about, is making wherever you are, the ability to connect to all the other apps super easy. So if I am in Outlook, I want to be able to share it to Teams. If I'm in Teams, I want to share it and start an email and send it to Outlook. And vice versa, whether I'm in Yammer or I am in Teams, going to Yammer. And then last but certainly not least is called tasks in Teams. This is really, at last, all the different places that you do your tasks to have one central location to manage them, to see them all and not have to go out to Planner, out to your task in Outlook or to do on your mobile app, really having one location for those tasks. So that will be coming soon as well. I'm not sure if there's an official date on that guy, but look for that. All right, so let's go with multi-window chat. This is the ability, again, like I said, to pull it out. It gives you kind of this capability that it's got a little arrow. I'm not sure if you can even see on the screen because I think I already pulled it out, but you pull it out and you can move it between any of your monitors. So you can easily have that chat. Here it says meetings, calls, or documents into a separate window. Right now, this announcement's really only for multi-window for pulling out your chat. That's what it's first starting with, but soon there will be other things that'll be able to pop out. So just to let you know, this will be rolling out to customers soon. This next one, this one's really, really important. Just due to things that are happening right now in the current environment, there's been a lot of demand to increase team membership, group chat, number of people in meetings, number of people in live events. And due to that, there had to have been a reaction. We had to figure out how to prioritize in our development what should be going out first. And one of the first things is that we needed to raise the upper limit of a team from 5,000 to 10,000. Whether this was for corporate communications or having one central location due to the large organizations that are rolling out teams. But either way, the importance of being able to collaborate in such a large space, the demand was met, and I believe this is being rolled out. The roadmap feature is 62549, so I'll show you the roadmap in a bit, but that's what I would look for. Follow it and see the progress they're making on it. I believe both of these are supposed to be this month. The next one are group chats and accommodating up to 250 users. So sometimes you do have a big project that may have that many people and you want to kick off that meeting. So hence the demand for accommodating that many people. Should be rolling out again to customers soon. Okay, tags. I said I was going to talk to you about this. This is the ability to create and manage tags in teams. I love this because I came from Yammer as well, where I love topics. And that's for me the ability to quickly tag something and go back to it. So if I wanted to tag it with a certain coined word, or if I want to manage it with a group of a project group and add all these people to it, now when I mention that tag, I can call upon everyone who is in that I've designated for that particular project. So you can use tags as an @mention. You can use them as a chat. But here, it lets you just quickly reach a group of people all at once. You can categorize people based on attributes such as role, project, skill. For example, a nurse or a manager or a designer tag, enabling you to reach to those groups of people quickly. So that's a very good use case. So, once a tag is added, you just @mention them in a channel, and everyone who has been assigned to that tag will receive a notification. All right, Outlook email integrations. On the ribbon in Outlook, you're going to see a new thing called Share to Teams. And within that, you can see here that you can share to, and then you pull up what your channel is, and then you can, that email will go right into that channel. So share email to Teams, sharing an email from Outlook inside, and it doesn't also include the attachments and gets sent into that team channel. And the opposite. So if I'm in Teams and I want to share a conversation via email, I can right click on that conversation and send it to Outlook. And then this one I really love because this is the ability inside of Outlook. I see the conversation, maybe it was somebody mentioning me. I haven't got a chance to reply to them back. I'm over an email, putting together, something important. But in context now, I can see the latest message and I can reply to it. So I can go ahead and put my reply in and hit send and not have to go back into Teams. Even though that might always be open, it's where I work and how I can communicate back and forth super easy and be efficient about it is really the focus. And I don't want to forget, again, I think it's super important that we learn and we figure out when tasks and Teams is coming, because that to me that's going to be a change, such a change for me to have to not worry about where did I put that task. It's going to all come in here. So this is what the screenshot looks like. I can see when things are assigned to me. I can see all my tasks in one location. I can see where it's saved to. So I can actually click inside of that, open it up, see more things. I can also do some graphical things like where I'm at, much like within Planner, you can see your progress on the task. And so that's what I was referring to, those smart views, tasks assigned to me, priority, maybe if I have things that are late. So really creating a space for me to have my own personal task management in a visual way is so helpful. All right, so I don't have a time. I think the question is this coming tasks and teams? The tasks and teams is on the roadmap. You're going to have to look for the dates. I do not believe it's been officially announced on when it can be rolled out, but most things are in development. They're in there for about a couple months before they get to the rolling out period and the launch period. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I'm going to get into really what we're doing and have been focusing on for quite some time in the Firstline Workers space. If you can see here, this is really a life cycle that's been happening. The ability to, before work, get something done by looking at your shift, when do you have a shift, you're during work, being able to clock in, clock out, after work, reviewing your schedule, maybe reviewing your tasks or putting notes together about your shift. So just this whole life cycle of the way Firstline Workers work today and how teams can really add to that. So connecting everyone feature recap is the general availability of shifts. I'm going to show you shifts. I don't even think we've talked about that today on this event, but you're going to see it firsthand of what you can do. Then you've got share location, so you can share location with others. You also have the Office Lens camera, which I think is fantastic in Teams. I don't know about you, but I use my mobile device a lot. And within there, if I'm at a conference and I see a really cool slide, like I'm watching Joel speak and I see this slide and I'm like, oh, I need to say that to my OneNote because I'm taking OneNote, notes in a page. But my camera, how am I supposed to get, and take a picture of the slide in context and have it save automatically? So I can open up my OneNote on my mobile device. I can use the Teams camera, take a picture of it, and it uses the Office Lens capability that if you are taking a picture of a whiteboard, sometimes you go back and you're like, oh, it's all skewed. Office Lens corrects that. And so once I take a picture, then it saves to that OneNote page in context, and it's a really nice, clean picture. Then we've also said, hey, what about quiet hours? We need to make sure people are not working too much or only working when they should be. So we've rolled out quiet hours. Also dark mode. I'm sure a lot of you are already using that. That's what I live in today. And then virtual consults with bookings. I saw Joel had talked about that in this morning's session, and that's really the capability of nurses, doctors doing, rotations, doing virtual consults, but not just for doctors, certainly other workers that need something to schedule their day with people and then interact with them throughout the day through this schedule. And that's what bookings can help you do. Now the coming soon portion, that's SMS sign-in. So single sign-in, the off-shift access. So this is the capability coming out of requirements from California, how we have to be able to say, hey, you are off shift, you should not be working, but you can look at your schedule. And I'll show what that looks like. Then we've got global sign out. So think of all the people maybe that are on different devices and you want to go ahead and just do a global sign out because their shift is done. I love this piece. This is delegated user management. I'm going to dive deeper into this, but this is that ability that IT can be sometimes overwhelmed with all the things that they're doing, that this is a capability for IT to give and the managers maybe of retail the user management role in Office 365 to manage resetting passwords for their employees at their branch office or at their retail location. So it's really nice to just kind of lend itself out to having another set of workers that manage their employees and provide them that IT management. And then the last one there is patient coordination. It says that's in preview. I'm not sure if it's in preview any longer. I'm not in the healthcare space. I'm in the commercial space. So maybe somebody else on this call might know, but I'll show you what the preview of that is, and you can tell me if it's rolled out. But I wouldn't doubt it if it already is. Okay, so now let's get into shifts and what you can do on your mobile device. I'm going to give you a scenario here, and we're going to walk through a kind of a day in the life of a first-line worker. This is Lydia. She uses shifts to quickly check and manage her shift schedules. So she's not working right now. She's going to be getting ready to get on a bus soon to go to work, but she wanted to go ahead and take a look. She comes in her mobile device, and as you can see down at the bottom, she actually has Firstline Worker policy. So she's got shifts, activity, chat, and teams. And those are her 4 main pinned icons. She opens up shifts and she sees, all right, I've got 2 shifts coming up, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. And these are the different times that they are. Then I see, okay, from 1 to 5, shoot, I've got something going on that evening. I wonder if I could swap a shift real quick, have somebody else take my shift, and then I'll just pick up another shift later. So she goes ahead and clicks on swap. And that provided her everyone who is working for that day in all the shifts. And she sees Alex has got the morning shift. Maybe he'll switch with me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on his name, selecting my shift. Hey, will you switch my 1 to 5 and you take the 8 to 1, right? Enabling Lydia to really easily manage her shift and her schedule on the go. So now she's got that set up. She's going to look for her open shifts. So as you can see, right underneath request, she's got open shifts. All right, looks like for that particular let's see, 3 different days, there's 3 different open shifts, and she wants to go ahead and choose and add another shift. So from here, she chooses the 8 to 1 p.m. and she clicks on request. When she does this, a notification will be sent to her manager for approval. So kicks off a Power Automate flow, and you can see there pending request. All right, so after Lydia's managed her shift schedule, she jumps on the bus, enjoying her commute, right? Knowing that, all right, she's got hopefully Friday covered. Alex will switch with her, and she's got a new shift she picked up so she can get some money. She can see here that, yep, she's still waiting for the open shift for her boss to respond. All right, and when she gets out of that, she's got the Teams app here. She arrives to her store, and the first thing she does is she uses shifts again to clock in. So she goes over to her shifts app, and if you can see, there is a section that says time clock. When she opens that up, she can push the button, and that sets her time. So she just clocked in to her shift. Now, when she takes a break, she can go ahead and start that as well and stop it. So now she sees these things. She can, request a new shift. She can swap shifts. She can start her time clock, and she can then get out of it by stopping the time clock and being on her merry way. She also will get notified if there is a approval or denial of her new shift request. Lots of things happening in the identity or in the shift space. But then the new identity and access capabilities for first-line workers just brings so much more. Again, the delegated user management, the SMS sign-in, global sign-out. Maybe it's a phone or a kiosk that everyone shares. And then the off-shift access. Just to highlight that one a little bit more, you can see that when she comes in, you're going to see, or Zin comes in, that you're off-shift. You are not authorized to use this device. You can, however, just look at your shifts. So this is really coming out of the ability to say, during this period of time, you will not be paid for your shift or because you're off shift. However, you need to acknowledge that you want to use the other capabilities. Then you've got global sign out. That's one process to log out globally for all your applications in all the multiple devices. Just one process, so super easy. Okay, the next one, delegated user management. I absolutely love this, the capability to say, hey, manager, you can control everyone that's in your location. Maybe it's a coffee shop and you have, about 10 people who work there. They sign in maybe normally with a phone number. Well, they got a new phone or a new phone number. How can we quickly get them added back in and able to log in, do all their shift changes that they want to make and requests, and be able to sign in pretty easily. And then the SMS sign-in process, really the better protection. Having that capability to have MFA on top of it, using the Authenticator app, or having it sent to you as a first-line worker as a text, putting in that code, and then signing in. And the last one there is patient coordination. So to just talk about real quick, this is really for the healthcare space, patient coordination and integration with patient records management platforms. So taking an existing, I know there's quite a few healthcare companies that are on this call, but taking an existing management space and bringing it into Teams on a tab, and then advancing it with more capabilities. So that's the patient coordination. And I believe we talked about virtual consults in Joel's first session. And this capability is really the consultation with therapists, doctors. I'd even extend it to say, hey, decorators or landscapers. This is where I manage my shifts. If I want to have a video call or a chat, I can do that right here within bookings. All right, now we're going to roll into customization and extension. To me, this is one of my favorite as well, because really we're talking about keeping me in Teams and connecting to everything else that I work with, so I can have one view and one dashboard to work. So let's go ahead. Let's do a recap here of what's the Teams apps and workflow. All the things that have happened in general availability is really publishing your apps to Teams. So you can do that. I've got a nice slide that shows you how to do that. I also app setup policy and app permissions policy. Those things I work with customers on all the time. And that's really saying, this is what we're going to allow you to see and use. So providing permissions over the 400 third-party applications that are out there, and setting policy. Then we've got App Catalog, which is new in the Admin Center. That's a fantastic way to see all the apps, and I'll get into what you can do with those in just a second. And crisis communication. I believe that is a Power App that Joel did talk about too this morning, about how you can deploy that, use that Power App to provide your company that communication while you're in crisis. That's so vital. The coming soon was just announced, additional Power Automate triggers for Teams. Admins and users can pin apps to the left rail, so you can have that curated experience. And one that just probably snuck by me is the workforce management integrations of Kronos with shifts. Because I certainly know that there are some companies that use time management software, Kronos, but how do you apply that with shifts? And how can I look up things that are happening while I'm in Teams, in shifts, and have that chatbot capability or integration between shifts and Kronos? So really excited to announce that that is coming soon, and it's in, I believe, a GitHub today. All right, so Publisher app for Microsoft Teams. This is the capability to create your own tenant app that you can use for your entire organization and publish it to the store. Publish it to your tenant, so you can see that it says built for Contoso. Replace Contoso with the name of your organization. And then you can publish it to a team. So uploading the custom app and then publishing it to your team. Here are the setup policies. So the setup policies is the capability to say, we have a group of apps that we want to have on the left rail. And we want that to be in the forefront for everyone. And we may allow them to not pin, users to not pin. We may just have it IT enforced. So this is where you can switch it around and say, you know what, I have an intranet that's an application. I want to have that inside of Teams, and I want to have it at the top. I may also want to have Teams training and an M365 learning pathway Teams training site pin at my left rail. So all those things can be done or set up inside of the setup policy. They can also be done inside of the permission policy. So this is the capability to say, we're going to allow this tenant app. And we may have also a certain number of third-party apps that we allow or block. Again, this is a global policy. You may want to have several other policies based on your personas that you build within your environment. All right, this is the Manage Apps section inside of the new Admin Center. This is where you can see the list of all the applications, who they're partnered with, the self-attestation, any of the data handling information, any of the app security and app capabilities. So being able to now get a little bit more handle on, instead of a name, and now I've got to go research what it is, bringing all that information to you. So really they call this the building trust in the Microsoft 365 certification process. So here is what it looks like inside of the Admin Center, and being able to go in here and see all the different things and what's been certified, because this is where you may start to say, I want the applications that are only certified allowed at my company. Now you have a more granular window into those applications. And the crisis communication app. This is a power app that was already discussed today, but where you can pin it on the left-hand side, again, through your app setup policies. And this is what the power app looks like. All right, how about some additional Power Automate triggers for teams? There's two I can talk to you about: the trigger actions when a new teammate joins, so you can get notified right away. Oh, it looks like we had somebody onboarded. Joel is now a part of the team, so now I can go welcome him or hit a like or a heart. And then also the ability to create custom message actions with for a selected message trigger. So go check those out. They're going to be coming. I think it's really fun to learn about what Power Automate and teams can do together. So I'm frequently going out there and seeing the templates or different things that you could do to make it real seamless inside of Teams and some of the automation things for approvals and managing. I even have the Flow app inside of my own tenant, so I can just call a Power Automate Flow right from Teams. All right, let's talk about some admin security and compliance. I've got about 12 minutes left. I hope that I'm not going terribly fast for you. This is recorded, just slow it down when you want to hear it later. But to me, this is some pretty critical stuff that we're doing in this space. This is, first off, let me talk to you about how you manage Teams. You manage it in the Teams Admin Center. So knowing, admin.teams.microsoft.com, it's a robust place. If you haven't spent a lot of time in here, I would ask you, please get your governance board together. Go through everything inside of there. And that really is going to help you be more successful in learning what all the new features are. And then when you go in there again and see something new, you knew, okay, well, I already kind of had a grasp, but there's things being added all the time. Look in there, because there's some good stuff I'm going to share with you in just a sec. Then you need to go out to protection.office.com. That's going to be your security and compliance center. That's where you want to start thinking about putting your DLP policies over Teams. And then you've got Azure Active Directory, and this is where you're going to put governance over your group settings. You might want to have a naming convention. You might want to add more blocked words. So there's all kinds of things you can do in that space, and even expiration policies. So this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but these are the things in the last probably couple of quarters that's been rolled out. Managing information protection, so putting DLP and sensitive labels over your teams. Managing information governance, retention policy. I think we've all heard now there is a one-day retention policy. So working with your legal teams to make sure you're matching those requirements. We've talked a little bit about information barriers. Sensitivity labels for Teams, that's in preview now. Safe links, I hope everyone's using safe links. E-discovery support for threaded conversation, so that's now rolled out as well. And we'll talk about private channels in a second. And then audit log support. So you can be alerted on different things that are happening too. So get familiar with the audit log and setting alerts. All right, so general availability. If you have not heard, there is a fantastic new solution inside of your admin center called Teams Advisor. And go inside of the Teams Advisor, and I think I have a screenshot of this next, but you'll be able to see you can roll out the solution to a team, and it gives you a planner plan with a full-on project management schedule of all the activities that you need to do in order to successfully deploy Teams. So if you're on this call, which I've heard a lot of people are talking about migrating, how do I use Teams? That's one absolute must that you should be doing, is looking through that planner plan once you deploy the solution and walking through the checklist to make sure you're not only deploying it accurately technically, but including your adoption, your communication, your change management. The next one are policy packages. I am really excited about this one because it's going to make it really easy as you figure out of the 12 policies each user gets, what makes sense for your organization, making that a package and being able to deploy it seamlessly to your user personas in your company. So first rollout to EDU, it will be coming out as well to healthcare and commercial. We also have Network Planner. The last session was all about networking. In the admin center, there is now a capability for you to put together a network plan, test locations, if you have multiple locations, and see what the performance is like from a team's perspective. Then you've got reporting, more robust reporting, of course. We need to always see what's going on. What are the analytics between one team to another? What are all the analytics and how are people using the channels? And then the shortened retention we talked about. The coming soon. So again, more robust things happening with policy packages, managing Teams rooms from an admin center, accessing Teams by far. Well, actually, I skipped one of the highlights. Okay, let's talk about legal hold for private channels. Legal hold capability. I mean, this is really blocking a lot of customers today is, hey, we want to use private channels, but there's no ability to put a hold on that. So that is coming out soon. Access Teams without an internet connection. I can't tell you enough when the first couple years of Teams and you go in there and you don't have internet, it just is like, oops. Well, that's not a great experience. So now the experience is much like Outlook. You open it up, it's not connected. You can see that down at the bottom. You're not necessarily connected yet. However, you can still work. You can see things. You can write a message. It just can't get sent yet. So Teams is going to do that same experience. You're going to be able to open it. You're going to be able to read. You're going to be able to write. And then when you're back online, click. Everything will just start seamlessly moving and getting sent out. And then the e-discovery of private teams. That will be coming soon as well. So let's take a look at Advisor for Teams. It is in public preview right now. It is in the admin center. And you can really, there's two solutions. You can roll out what you want based on where you're at in whether you want to roll out apps, teams, meetings. There's two workloads. And it provides you, as you can see here, the workload details. So you click on it, and it will deploy to a Microsoft team, and you'll get a planner tab inside of that team. So it's got a tenant readiness assessment. It's got a full-on planner plan, and it also has another tab for user surveys. So I think that's also been brought up today is how do I measure how well we're doing? Those surveys will really be helpful. So all that's packaged for you. If you haven't seen it, deploy it today. And guess what? If you're already deployed, I would say deploy it because you never know what you could still use. All right, now let's talk about simplifying policy assignment. I'm really excited for policy packaging, basically saying this package of all these policies, your messaging, your app, your teams, your calling, your live events, all those policies that you should review, putting them in one location in a package, and then using PowerShell to say, hey, I want to roll out this package to this group. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, that's so much easier than doing it the way you're doing it today. So it's going to be coming. I don't have any time frame on this guy, but I'm really excited. Network planner, much like the last session, it's super important that you have your environment technically ready. You have all the UDP and TCP ports open to allow the Azure Media Services to successfully connect. But learning how to do that can be quite difficult. So I would say go to aka.ms/successwithteams to get all the documentation you need. But inside of the admin center, you can start doing some of that testing now. And you can take a look at what you can alter with bandwidth and testing out the capability. So when all of this crisis that we're in right now, we can go back out to our offices. Let's get those performance of those locations really up to par. And then the assigning the right admin roles. Right now there are 4 roles. I wouldn't doubt if that gets more granular, but knowing that there are 4, please make sure people are assigned correctly. All right, let's talk about reports. This is the per team analytics and then cross team. So within the analytics portion, when you manage teams, you can take a look at 2 different ones and see side by side how well they're doing, which is really pretty fun. You could do things like have different events to increase the adoption or the usage of that team and say, hey, marketing is going to be going against the communication team, and kind of do something fun internally to boost the adoption. All right, more reporting, teams reporting, user level reporting, live event usage. I could go on and on. Make sure in the admin center, you click on analytics and reports. There's a report section there. Click on the drop down, and there are about, I think, 8 reports. It just seems like every time I go in there, there's something new. But if you're looking for analytics, that's really the place to be. And you can do it all by time frame. And you can pull it out so you can export it as well if you need to. User level reports are available, of course, in the admin center and the adoption content pack. I believe I would call that the M365 usage analytics that you can connect to in Power BI. And then call analytics and call quality dashboard, other reports that are available too. Okay, this is my second to last slide, so I think I'm doing all right. But finally, you can manage Microsoft Teams phones and Teams rooms from one location. So instead of running down 2 floors to restart a Teams room, you can restart it right from your admin center. So making it so much easier to manage all those Teams phones and Teams rooms. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even cover all the things that are out there. I would suggest how you stay on top of the latest Teams features. Live in the Teams roadmap. Get your governance board thinking on a monthly basis. Let's export everything related to Teams and review where we're at with it and how we're going to stay on top or react or communicate or prepare training for all of our employees. A lot of new things that aren't on the roadmap may be found on Twitter. So I know a couple items I showed you today, I heard on Twitter from Microsoft Teams. And then if they're not on Twitter, they're definitely on a Teams blog. So there might not be on the roadmap because they didn't get a chance to hit the roadmap yet. We had to get it out quicker. We're going to be writing about it through Microsoft Teams blogs. So that's all I have for you today. I know it's a lot of information. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. I will try to answer you. But Joel, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
You bet.
All right. There were a lot of questions in the Q&A panel or in the meeting chat anyway. I'm going to scroll up here a little bit and I can just read them to you, I think.
Okay.
There was a mention about the control bar. I don't know if you have any tips and tricks on the control bar, like somebody trying to take a screenshot and it seems like every time they move their mouse, it comes back.
I don't have anything other than, yes, that is absolutely painful. I agree with you, and I cannot wait until they figure out where to pin that because I have the same issue. It's being worked on, I can tell you that.
One little trick on Snip, anyway, you can set a delay.
Mm.
So if you set the delay to like 1 or 2 seconds, that way you click to make it go away, and then it'll capture where you're not moving your mouse. But just a workaround, not necessarily a solution.
Yeah, it's a good trick. I mean, it's 5 seconds, so you're going to want to stay off of it. Have maybe another screen with the snippet.
Yep.
Start it and then go back.
I like this one. What's the talking point regarding the 10K users limit with Teams versus Yammer? And I think this continues to be the question people have is like, what's the latest positioning around Teams and Yammer?
Honestly, it's the same conversation that's always been happening, which is Yammer is for communities and Teams are for teams to get projects done.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is kind of an action-focused team versus the work in the open, anybody can join kind of experience.
Yeah.
All right. What's the best way to have visibility in upcoming changes in the future? Is there central location so admins can get a heads up to communicate the users in the organization?
Yeah, there are some things you can do. You could set yourself up for you and your admins to be in the M365 Admin Center organizational settings, and it's for targeted release. That means about 10 days prior to what everybody else gets, you should get the newest capabilities. But what I would say is stay up on what's happening on the roadmap, especially if you're talking about wanting to know when something's going to be released. We're going to tell you in the message center first, but the backlog will always be located in the roadmap.
And is there anything particular to admins? Like, hey, these are dates when you actually do know dates?
The dates are usually announced on blogs about 7 days prior to them being rolled out or a few days prior. There's always a little bit of a leeway. I know it's hard and it's frustrating. The roadmap is usually the better tell for an official date.
Yep. I have a recommendation that IT folks should grab a demo tenant or kind of a pre-production tenant that's on the early release. That way they can see it first. Just that way you get even more of a heads up when it rolls out to tenants. Everybody's talking about it. You can first get some experience and kick the tires.
Yep.
You'll also get messages from the Office 365 Message Center for things that are rolling out as a part of the roadmap as well. So that's always a spot to look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've found in some organizations where when they share responsibilities, it may be one group that's getting it and not everybody's getting it. Getting subscribed to that message. And I do know that there's a number of blogs where people will basically share that info further and blog about it. And in fact, what I've done as well from a team's perspective is actually have those come directly into our team so that it shows up in the feed. So we're all seeing those announcements and then kind of reacting and talking about those announcements and what we might need to do from a rollout perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Will Teams allow a custom dictionary similar to Office?
Can you ask that again? I was trying to actually follow it in the chat here.
Yeah, it's toward the bottom. Will Teams allow a custom dictionary similar to Office? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I do know that you can add Wikipedia.
It's based off of the spelling correction.
Oh, there you go.
It uses a separate engine for auto spell and autocorrect than what the Office client does.
Right, similar to what you do on your phone kind of thing.
So your ability to add a custom one.
Yeah, so if you wanted your spell check not to catch proficient and try to correct it to proficient.
Does Rich, do you want to jump in and explain what you're looking for?
Yes, our company name appears as an incorrect spelling. And we're getting ready to roll it out to our partners. And that would be a big hurdle to overcome. So yeah, we were looking for a solution around how our company name can be flagged as an okay word.
Yeah, I never noticed that, but as Ron said, Perficient is one of those companies, and when I type it, I get the underlined misspelling in red, but when I right click on it, I don't have the ability to add to dictionary. That's what you're asking about, right?
Right.
Correct.
Well, and aren't dictionaries your own dictionary? So whomever you're going to be doing that guest access with, they'll have to add it to their dictionary as well, correct?
I've got a ticket in.
Okay. Have you
but
checked out?
we're-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Have you checked out user voice? I know I live in that space a lot because a lot of times in the user voice, and you can look up those ideas and follow them. So that's one way to kind of communicate back to the team's engineers, asking for just like you're asking for right now, and seeing where they could fit that on the roadmap, or if other people are requesting that same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. In fact, if you add it, we can all jump in.
And vote it.
Yes, exactly. I'll
I think
go in and
Ron
vote.
just posted one.
Cool. There you go.
Yep, I just put
So
in
it
the
looks
chat.
like it
Everyone go
already
with that
exists.
now.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. 3x3 view. Will that be available for mobile as well? Or is that a desktop thing?
I believe right now that's going to be a desktop thing. Don't quote me on it though. That's all I've seen when I've seen screenshots. I don't have it yet either, so I would be the
I'm
first to
looking
test
forward
it.
to that one, as are a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Does Michelle know why we are seeing closed captioning sometimes, but not on other times? And I think it even goes as far as some users have the feature, others don't, even within the same company.
That could certainly be policies. You can control that through policy. So I would review that.
Is it different for guests as well versus, like, if you're a guest, is it your own policy, your own company policy that would allow it or not? Or is it of the meeting, whoever's running the meeting that controls it?
No, they're all individual, so you have the ability to enable and disable yourself. And I think that could be right. If you are in somebody else's tenant, I don't know if as a guest you can use it.
Yeah, so here we had an interesting situation in the last meeting where there was a user who was saying they weren't seeing it. In fact, there were a couple of users who explained they couldn't see it, but there were half a dozen who said, yep, we're guests and we also can't and we can see it. Unfortunately, the person who really wanted it wasn't able to get it. We weren't sure how to get it to them. It seemed like it wasn't a tenant setting of ours. But that's still trying to figure out
can I add one thing? What I've seen with exactly what you just said is when sometimes Microsoft rolls out a new feature, like the closed caption is a new feature. It's not rolled out to every platform. So sometimes even within the same organization, it takes time. But I mean, within a month or two, you'll start seeing it propagating to all the users. So I've seen that and experienced in my organization. So it's maybe similar to the rest.
May just need to be updated, the client. Yeah, because it's not available on the web, which means it is a desktop client thing. And some people may not have been updating their client. Or, yeah, I'm not sure how.
Yeah, it's pretty important. I know for myself, I forget to, now that I work from home pretty regularly, I'm not turning off my computer. I mean, I just put it to sleep. And so next thing you know, I come in the next day and I have a lot of coworkers who have some of the new capabilities and Teams. And I immediately, I'm like, oh, shoot, that's right. I need to probably restart my machine or sign out of Teams and come back in. And so just make sure while you're home, I think to remember to do that too.
Scrolling up, found another session, another question. Do you know if there's anything in the pipeline for displaying library metadata in Teams UI? Ideally, answer on. Well, let's say share. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely. They're always bringing over the capabilities that you can do in any of the SharePoint library lists into Teams, and I'm pretty positive that already happened. I'm not sure how. Yeah.
That's what I was aware of, was that the rich UI, the library metadata stuff did roll already, but
yeah, I think that was.
I'm sure there's more to come.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
The Outlook mail integration to reply all isn't from the group inbox, but your user inbox. Leanne, do you want to talk to that question?
Hey.
Hey.
This was back when early on, I think, Michelle, and you were covering the new integration with Teams and Outlook, and there was the reply all options, but it looked like you were coming from in the screenshot, like it was from the user's inbox. It wasn't from the group, right? Did I say that right?
Yep, you're absolutely right. You're not in the group mailbox. What you are in is it's a missed activity. So you haven't been in Teams, and I think it's set by default, like every 5 minutes, if you don't have activity in Teams and somebody's trying to contact you, you'll get a notification that by default, I believe, is an email. And so if you're in Outlook and you're working, you see that come up. Really, that's just a missed activity inside of your team chat. And so you're chatting back through Outlook back to that channel.
Ah, perfect. That makes sense. Yep, stay on top of the activity. So when you come back into Teams, if you've responded, does that activity alert go away?
Yes. Well, there's no activity alert. It already emailed you, so it's meaning in the activity center. Yeah, I believe so. In the activity icon, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Wondering if Microsoft will be enhancing the in-context help assistance for self-service help within Teams, similar to the Office Client Help. Do you know if Teams has any live chat support for live chat automated chat support capability integrated into Teams interface for internal live chat support? I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I know that there's a help section icon on the bottom left-hand side in the client that you can click on. And that brings up a lot of actually more capabilities like help, training topics. But as far as putting in live chat support, if that's chat support inside of your organization or out to Teams, there's no interface right now for live chat support to Microsoft Teams engineers. But you could.
It does sound like he's talking about his own internal chat.
Yeah,
internal live chat support.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not going to be in something that's already built. You're going to want to build that chatbot. I think we've already talked about chatbots today, but build that interaction that has a chatbot connected to your service center is super common right now. A lot of companies are doing that.
Yeah, and that ability to add to the left rail, like if somebody wanted to add a support center or something like that in the left rail, they could do that now. Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The app setup policies are available today, so you can enable your help desk icon right on that left rail and force it for all your employees so they have access to it.
Yeah. And then you could do whatever kind of bot or live support or whatever you wanted in that app. Yeah.
Yeah, it could go and connect it back to ServiceNow help desk if you want, maybe your knowledge articles.
That's great. All right, I'm just reading through some of the more recent ones. Is Teams going to enable a presenter organizer to mute a person where it can stick, not be turned on by an attendee? like say you're doing I guess it's a meeting, or is it live? It's probably a meeting. You're doing a meeting, somebody's not paying attention and they start talking, obviously you can mute that person, but if they do it again, you want to like force it or something.
Yeah, I would check user voice, Valerie. It sounds like you're kind of wanting a one-way conversation, and I get it because people come off mute, they don't realize, and the dog's barking, and people are trimming trees next to you, which happens to me. The only thing you can do really as the organizer or presenter is to just keep on being on top of muting them right now.
I also asked a question right above that. So we had a meeting in Zoom while I was on spring break, so I wasn't there, and some not quite great stuff happened.
The Zoom bombing, huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, it was bad, and I would have told them not to use Zoom myself, but then when we were testing Teams, even if you have guests come into the lobby, if you kick them out because they're team bombing, they can come right back in and they bypass the lobby altogether, which I think is a bug rather than a request for a feature.
Yeah, it seems like if you allow them in once, the question is, does the meeting remember that the guest was already allowed, or will they still have to sit in the lobby? I have been a guest and I've had to wait in the lobby twice before. So I've gotten allowed in and then I had to leave and then I had to come back in, but I had to wait in the lobby. So not sure if that was policy driven or it should be working that you have to enter them in every time. But you have to be pretty intentional about sending them that join link. So there's some probably training around that too.
Will files receive the manage access and share menu options in files?
Will files receive? I'm not sure if that granular. I personally hope not. I don't think I want to break inheritance at the file level.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of users wanting to switch a file from default edit to a read only inside a team chat or a conversation.
Yep. Usually whatever you share inside of the conversation piece gets added to the files tab in SharePoint, and all members will have contributed access to that. So again, that might be a question about communicating what happens when you do share a file, knowing that it will be accessible for everyone.
Yeah, the workaround is just to send a link if you want it to be to a read-only location.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I actually need to attend another meeting.
Yeah.
And I'll take this last question though, Joel. Are there plans to expand search to the tabs and teams? If you're referring to searching in a team, today you can do that from the top menu. So I'm not sure if you're wanting to have search be that granular at a tab. I have not heard anything. But that doesn't mean there couldn't possibly be somebody who had that same idea, and it is in user voice. So I always say, if you have these ideas and you're like, I totally have a need for it, go to user voice and search on your idea and see if somebody else thought that same thing, and then go vote it up. And then if it's a business requirement, I would make sure I take that user voice item or idea, send it to everyone in your that cares about it in your company, and get it voted up. So the more votes, the more the engineers see it filter up which means they're going to add it to their log to start working on.
Very good. There was a question about slides. We do have Michelle's slides in the same location where all the other slides are. If you don't have that, let me know, and we can pull it up or show it up again. It is in the chat further way up, but I can post it again. So, hey, this was the last session. We do have a couple of gift cards. We'd love to get feedback from everybody. Thanks so much, Michelle.
You bet.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks
To
everyone.
all of our speakers. It's been a long day. Thanks to everybody who joined. Please, please, please fill out the survey. We have a little quiz that I'm going to do after everybody completes the survey. So I want to make sure that everybody can get to this. If somebody on the Perficient side wants to post this link in the chat, so people can just click on it, and that'd be great. And as well, even the link to the slides, somebody can post that in chat to make it easily accessible. And I'll sit on this for 5 minutes. I think it's only 5 questions. It's a really, really simple survey. You can keep it anonymous, or if you are looking for help, obviously we need your contact information there. But this is very valuable for our ability to be able to do things like this. It means a lot to be able to understand if this was effective. Did this really meet the need? What sessions would you like to have seen, or more information about? Absolutely, we'd love to gather your feedback. Thanks for joining. I know it's been a long day, but you guys are troopers. Really, really appreciate it. It's been a long but fruitful day. And I'm looking at the responses now. I'm looking at the feedback, and we're sitting at a 4.7 out of 5. So I think sounds like everybody on the call had a great time as well. So it's awesome. Thanks so much for everybody for coming.
Thanks for hosting, Joel and Ron. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad it worked out. I as well prefer the in person, so it means a lot that it worked for everybody.
Exactly. Thank you to all of our speakers, all of our attendees and whatnot for your time today. We really, truly appreciate it. And I'd like to thank you for all your participation. We have the links for the files, for the attendees who won prizes today, and of course, just for your surveys. And we just appreciate your participation and hanging with us all day. Really, really want to thank you.
This concludes our event. Ron, Joel, and to the rest of the presenters, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for participating today and joining us. Have a happy Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.